A cat is a gentle, benign, relaxed, yet watchful bundle of softly murmuring purr. A hunter with claws sharp as razors, eager for prey. The natural enemy of birds, mice, and rats. Playful, affectionate, intelligent, often the subject of superstition and legend, the cat was first domesticated over 4,000 years ago by the Egyptians, for whom he was already an object of symbolism, the image by which aspects of many of the most powerful of the gods and goddesses were represented. Relaxing from the cares of godmanship, known simply as Mao by a race who liked animals and tamed many, he became a favorite and favored household pet, often to be portrayed in contemporary paintings like this, sitting under a chair eating, or just admiring the view. He was taken hunting, trained to catch and retrieve the game as it fell, rather as a gun dog works today. In the granaries and storehouses, he hunted rats, and it was as rat catcher that many years later the Mediterranean cat may have been brought to England and the rest of Europe, with the supply columns of the invading and conquering armies of Rome, to interbreed in due time with the local species of wild cat. In the Middle Ages, their ability to catch vermin put a value of twopence on every kitten and fourpence on a cat which had caught his first mouse. Nowadays, hunting is more often just a game, an exercising of natural instincts. A fallen apple is a rat and a paper ball a mouse. The gods Bastet and Sekhmet are gods no more, but Fluffy and Tibbles instead. And though a cat may be as proud and dignified as befits an ex-god, he is not so loftily independent as to need less care and consideration than other domestic pets. Perhaps you are thinking of giving someone a kitten as a Christmas or birthday present. But before you do, please consider the animal, by first making quite sure he's really wanted at the new home. These weren't. Instead, discarded like a broken toy or ornament, they've been brought to the PDSA home for lost, strayed and unwanted cats and kittens at Cumbernauld, a few miles outside Glasgow, to wait for a new home to be offered them. Care should be taken when obtaining a kitten to see that it is completely weaned and no longer dependent upon the mother. Generally speaking, a kitten should be ready to go to his new home by the time he is 7 or 8 weeks old, but it depends to a large extent both on the mother cat and on the owner. And many kittens should stay with their parent until they are 10 weeks old, learning to look after themselves and being house-trained into using a sanitary tray of peat litter. If accidents are to be avoided in the new home, a similar tray should be provided until the kitten has been trained to use the garden instead. Food. And it shouldn't always be fish for dinner. For a young stomach, ideal foods are minced or chopped meat, cereal or carefully boned fish 4 times a day. As the animal grows, sliced meat should replace mince to encourage chewing, and to make an appetizing dish, biscuit meal can be added. By the way, always remember that a kitten arriving in a new home should, for a time, be given food similar to that which he was enjoying when he left his mother. Changes in diet should be gradual. Expensive or extravagant foods are not necessary to ensure good health, and boiled whiting is every bit as good as sole meuniere to a cat. Cats are very selective about the types of food they eat. Some will eat only fish, some only meat, unless near starvation. It's a question of temperament rather than faddishness. However, most fish-eating cats will accept an occasional meal of minced raw liver or stewed rabbit, and this should be encouraged, for some variation in the diet is necessary for health. Always cook fish, rabbit and poultry meat, and bone it really carefully. A fully grown cat likes 2 meals a day, at morning and evening, with a saucer of cereal and milk at midday. Tin foods are a useful standby, and biscuits help keep the teeth clean. Do you know, there are some people who say there are some cats who are so greedy they steal food which isn't rightly theirs. But then some people will say anything. To drink. Milk or water out of a clean saucer or bowl. Siamese especially are great water drinkers, but all cats and kittens must have drink available for whenever they want it. And by the way, never leave saucers of stale milk or half-finished meals lying about for flies to settle on and contaminate. To a child, a cat or kitten may look like a soft, fluffy toy, but it needs very much more respectful handling. Roughness and clumsiness brings deserved scratches, and never more often than as a result of not lifting the animal properly, which, as this little boy is being taught, means supporting the back legs. That's not bad at all, and this is exactly how it should be done. What's this? An anxious look? An itching cat? A warmed blanket? A packet of powder? Well, it must be, yes, fleas. Always looking out for a warm, furry home. And the longer the fur, the cozier. These uninvited visitors are easily unwelcomed. Just dust flea powder into the fur. You can get some from the PDSA, or there are many good ones to buy at the chemist shop. But don't, and it's a big don't, get one containing DDT, because this is poison to cats. After the powder, the blanket. Firmly round the cat. Hold it for 3 or 4 minutes. The fleas are crawling into it, escaping from the powder, attracted to it by its warmth. Feeling awful. If you do this indoors, spread newspaper about to catch the stragglers who will drop out of the fur when the cat is released. Destroy the blanket and paper before the fleas recover their wits, and quick, one's got away. We'll want more powder, and she'll need a bigger blanket. Don't forget to finish by brushing the powder out of the fur. Quite apart from fleas, brushing is essential everyday grooming. A cat is a fastidious animal and does his own washing, but if his fur is to be kept sleek and in good condition, it should be brushed regularly using a much softer brush than would be needed for the harsher coat of a dog. A long-haired cat needs combing as well, otherwise the coat may quickly become matted. If this happens, it could mean the fur having to be cut right away, which is as demoralizing for the owner as it is for the cat. Older kittens, too, should be brushed, gently, once or twice a week, and ears checked for signs of parasitic canker, common among young animals. The inner ear should look clean and shiny. If it doesn't, seek veterinary advice. Cats must sharpen their claws. A log of wood in the hall or sacking tied round the leg of the kitchen table are practical alternatives to carpets and chairs. Bed. Now, it's an old-fashioned fallacy to believe that cats should be turned out of the house at night. Like any other domestic animal, they want a bed indoors. Somewhere warm, somewhere quiet. A basket with a cushion, perhaps, or like this, an old cardboard box with one side removed and a blanket in the bottom. But sometimes the house has to be shut up all day, and on these occasions, a homemade cat's house like this is a useful refuge. Of course, it's only temporary shelter, and if you're away for a longish time, other arrangements should be made for the care of your pet. Lined with paper, the roof secure, it's all ready for my lord the cat. One of the responsibilities of owning any animal is to see that it receives proper veterinary treatment when it's ill, or seems to be ill. Never yourself try to diagnose or treat illness or injury. Take the animal to a veterinary surgeon, but if you can't afford to pay private veterinary fees, go to the PDSA. There are PDSA dispensaries and hospitals throughout the United Kingdom, and in countries overseas as well. And special mobile dispensary units like this one take the services of the PDSA to towns and villages where there is no permanent dispensary. Working to a fixed itinerary, designed and equipped to provide complete outpatient treatment for all the domestic animals brought to them, these vehicles visit their scheduled stops twice each week. Every year, about 200,000 cats become patients at the PDSA. No charge is ever made, no matter what the treatment may be, because the object for which the PDSA was founded is to provide free treatment for the sick and injured animals of people who genuinely cannot afford private treatment for their pets. The PDSA is a charity, which means quite simply that its services depend entirely on the donations, gifts, and legacies of people like you. Nobody knows how many cats there are in the British Isles. There are cats with short hair, cats with long hair, cats whose pedigrees can be traced through at least 12 generations, and cats with none. Of the pedigree breeds, most are known by geographical connotations, but according to zoologists, it is by no means certain that they originated in the countries whose names they bear. The Siamese may be a mutation of the Indian cat. Its origins are certainly eastern, the kinked tail being a feature common among domestic cats of Burma, Siam, and Malaya. The Manx cat has no tail at all, and here again the origin of the type may be far removed from the Isle of Man, as tailless cats occur in Japan and Eastern Europe. The Abyssinian may derive from the Sardinian cat. The wild cat survives in the British Isles only in parts of Scotland, a savage, untamable species whose temper and temperament are far removed from the domesticated animal that shares his striped markings. But whatever the type or breed or color, a cat, every cat, is an animal to care for and respect. A sensitive, aloof, wild-blooded companion who calls no man master.